the fight of the night and perhaps the early favorite to end up being the fight of the year
Mm,
saw Khamzat Chimaev
mm.
go to a unanimous decision victory over Gilbert Burns. I mean, Dominic, we don't have to say what everybody else is gonna say, right? This fight was fantastic. It was
Mm.
back and forth. Hamzat having to go to his first third round in his career, coming off of a round that he lost pretty decisively. He
Yeah,
got beat up in round two.
yeah.
This fight, there was no losers here. Gilbert
Nope.
Burns loses on the scorecards, but both guys are elevated here.
Yes.
However, considering Dominic what we walked into this fight believing about Khamzat Chimaev, what we had seen from him leading up, seeing him just swallow people whole essentially. You know, what were the
Yeah.
striking numbers? 254 to 2 or whatever it
Yeah.
was. I mean, just
Yeah.
outrageous stuff. And it's seeming like a lot of people thought, including kind of us, that Hamzat was going to do some similarly decisive things to
Yes.
Gilbert Burns. Is there any hesitancy when you walk away from this fight? As good as it was, as great as both guys looked, is there a pause when you walk away from this fight and go, is Hamza really as good as we thought? Or are you even more on the Hamza train now walking away?
I think the skill set is still championship material.
No.
The biggest thing for me was that I felt he chose to stand and bang more than what he should have done. He did not grapple hardly at all, but when he did, he was able to control Gilbert, get him to the ground, drag him down again, hold him up against the fence. So I don't know. I know going into this fight, he said he wanted to be in kind of one of these bloody fight of the nights, and he loved it in the post-fight interview. He's like, I can taste my blood. I got hit really hard. I love this shit. That's what he said. So I love that. I love seeing. We had to see him get tested eventually, right? So I'm glad it happened here. As much as I wanted that force of invincibility, that aura around him to continue, I'm glad we got to see him get tested and go into the deep waters. But I can't help but wonder, could he have made it a little bit easier on himself if he kind of went against his ego and kind of went to the well of that dominant grappling that he has? That's the only question I have, because I know he has that skill set, but he showed great hands. And I know he got hit a lot, but his defense wasn't terrible. His offense looked good. It was just one of those back and forth wars, man, that you see, a couple times a year, and this was one of them. So that was the kind of the only takeaway negatively, quote unquote, that I had. But I mean, holy shit, you can't have much negatives from a fight like that.
Yeah, to me, Hamza did not. His stock was raised, but in terms of like how I view him, it's a lateral move. I mean, I already
Yeah,
think he's a
yeah,
title challenger worthy. I think he's perhaps the next champion of the division. That didn't change here. What did change was my opinion of Gilbert Burns and his resolve. I
mm,
knew Gilbert could be just a Swiss Army knife offensively. I knew how good he is in terms of some of the fastest hands in the division, a lot of power behind those shots. He has amazing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, black belt
yeah,
even.
yeah,
His wrestling is good. You saw that against Wonderboy Thompson. So he's kind of good everywhere. But defensively, I've always felt like he kind of lagged behind. His durability has been questioned. He's a guy that when he used to fight at 155 pounds, got knocked out by Dan Hooker clean.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then at 170 pounds, it was the jab of Kamaru Usman that really put him away. So there was some questions about his durability, his chin. I don't think you can question that anymore. I mean, the heart he showed here, because round one was mostly Hamzat. I mean, Gilbert still landed some good shots, but Hamzat was really putting it on him in round one. He
yeah.
even dropped him at the end of round one, I believe,
With a jab.
with the jab, yeah. But Gilbert just locked in round two. He just looked, weirdly enough, it looked like Hamzat was starting to overwhelm Gilbert and even like kind of wear on him.
Yeah,
Round two, though, Gilbert looked like the fresher fighter, really took it to Hamzat. Hamzat was like, bring it, and Gilbert was throwing hands
dude.
at him. I
Yeah,
mean, it was some wild exchanges in this fight. So to me, Gilbert Burns was elevated even more. Like I've already viewed him as one of the best welterweights in the world, but now I still think he could be a future champion. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the first attempt didn't go his way, but like when we went into the first Usman fight with Gilbert, we thought that fight was like kind of an even
Yeah.
fight. Like and it seems like since then, while Kamaru's went on to bigger, better things, more title defenses, and now is in the is he one of the best ever talk. Gilbert hasn't lost since then. He fought Wonder Boy in kind of a iffy fight, but he won. It seems like Gilbert's stock has not really moved that direction. It seems like he's been kind of lagging behind, where now it was like, yeah, he's a borderline elite guy. But here he showed to me that, like, no, he's still very much one of the best in the world. And if the cards were right, I think another title shot could potentially be on a thrust upon him, and I think he could even win and be a champion. Let's get into this discussion, though, Dominic, because this is something that we're going to differ on. In the lead up to this weekend, on the Pat McAfee show, Dana White made an appearance, and he kind of revealed, which uncharacteristically, I might add, kind of
this is crazy.
A little nugget that if Khamzat were to win, which obviously he now has, that they would be interested in putting him versus Colby Covington in the main event on a future ABC card. So you were the one that gave me this news. You sent it in our Twitter group, and you were ecstatic.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the chance to tell, and now maybe we can group it like this. Now that the fight's taken place,
right?
Is this the fight, in your opinion, Colby versus Khamzat?
I still think so. I actually think so even more now. And it's not because, Khamzat didn't go in there and just steamroll Gilbert, so let's give him one more. It's not that mindset. It's just we saw a few, not even weaknesses, but just a couple vulnerabilities.
Well,
from
let me try to help. Let me help you here. Because I think I know what you're trying to say. It's probably like Khamzat showed a little bit of like greenness. Like he's still only 10-0, 11-0.
Yeah, he's 24 or 27. I mean, sorry.
He it seems like a few of his errors in this fight are more due to inexperience rather than so continue.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, because I saw a lot of people. It's funny how this guy gets all this hype and everybody loves him, but then he has a tough fight, and a lot of people go back. Oh well, he's nope. I'm off the hype train now. If he goes up against Colby Covington, he'll get smashed. I'm like, really? Do we really think he'll just get smashed by Colby Covington? Because Colby fights nothing like what Gilbert Burns did against Khamzat Chimaev. That is a completely different fight. So I don't think I don't know how, based off of this performance from Chimaev, you can go and then say that. But between him and Covington, or him versus Usman, I don't agree with that argument whatsoever. But I think that is an incredible matchup. I get it, and it's part of your argument, so I'm not going to take it and steal it. But the idea of Khamzat's right there, why don't we just, come on, this is title. We can really build him really quick. But if you brisk him against Colby, you could lose. I get it. But I just really want to see this fight stylistically. The grappling, the high levels, and that we could see in this is something that really intrigues me. And it just gives him that one more opportunity. And to take out a humongous name in Colby Covington would just really build on top of this stardom that we're really starting to see in Chimaev. And stardom is the right word to use, because if you look at all the new numbers from this week, he more than doubled the main event, the co-main event, everything. All eyes, and we said it on Friday, were on Khamzat Chimaev, and they're still on him after this one. I'm not going to be mad if he gets a title fight next, but I absolutely love him versus Colby Covington.
So him versus Colby is a massive fight. Let me get that out of the way. It's massive. I would be excited for it. Obviously, if it happened, I'm not going to be pooing on it.
Right.
If it happens. When they sent this, though, and Dominic was all excited, and our buddies were all excited, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, come on, guys, wake up. I'm like, this isn't what you think it is. It's not. And let me explain. when has Dana White or the UFC in general ever had something like this, like where Khamzat's at right now, and not fast tracked him? I mean, when have
Right.
they never? I mean, Conor McGregor got a title fight off of beating Dennis Seaver back in
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Ronda Rousey was given the belt before she even fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
Khamzat Chimaev is clearly the next like superstar,
Yes. Yes.
and he just beat your number two contender. And the solution or the next step is to have him fight Colby. The reason I hate it is because it's not the fight itself; it's just what it means in my head. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. We have Kamaru Usman presumably defending against Leon Edwards come July.
Right.
The winner of that fight, I assumed Khamzat would fit right in to just fight the winner of that fight come before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be huge because Khamzat, look, I understand it wasn't as one sided as maybe we thought it was, but Khamzat, to me, he won. He should be next for a title. But instead, Dana's really on board with this Colby Covington fight. And I was thinking, well, why is he like so adamant about this Colby Covington fight? You know, when you have a guy who's perhaps your next megastar in Khamzat, like, wouldn't you want him to
Mm-hmm.
fight for a title? I get it. It's Kamaru Usman who's one of the best to ever do it. But I don't think Khamzat, like, matches up poorly with Khamzat. I mean, he might not win. But I mean, I don't see how him losing. I mean, he's made it. He's an elite welterweight now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, now there's no easy fights. Like, now you are going to be perhaps winning 50-50 shot, you win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't help but think back to Conor McGregor's comments about fighting Kamaru Usman. And as much as I want to believe that Dana White and Conor,
The boys. Oh.
yeah, the boys, yes, Dana and
Yeah.
the boys
Yeah.
would be smart enough to know that that's just not a good fight for Conor. I am kind of concerned that this Colby Covington Khamzat fight is in order to open up for perhaps that Colby Khamzat fight happens in the fall sometime, and once it gets booked, I mean, then Dana can have the excuse, well, I mean, all the contenders are booked. All the top guys are booked. So, you know, if Kamaru beats Leon, I'm just saying, maybe it's a long shot. Maybe I got the tinfoil hat on. But I really believe that, like, Conor's serious about this Kamaru Usman fight. I believe he's dead serious on it. And if he's dead serious on it, why would Dana and the boys reject him of a title fight in a weight class where he's ultimately been most successful at?
Yeah.
That's why I hate when Dana was saying that on the Pat McAfee show, because it felt like, to me, it gave some levity to this Conor Kamaru fight, which maybe nobody, I doubt any other person is thinking like that right now. I think everybody's just like, it's a massive fight, I'm excited for it, but I can't help but I just don't want to see that, because
I know.
it's just not the right fight.
Yeah.
You have your top two guys squaring off in 5 rounds on ABC, but then Madison Square Garden's going to be headlined by Conor McGregor and Kamaru Usman. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me.
Right. No, I agree, man.
So I just, it's okay. Like, hey, everybody should be excited because it's a massive fight. It'll be, considering how the fight went Saturday, I mean, Colby's got a chance there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, and you're right. I have been annoyed seeing people like kind of saying, "Oh, Colby wins 10 out of 10 times."
Yeah, that's a terrible take in my opinion.
Now I'm just more like invested in just like, can Khamzat beat someone who's that relentless in their pressure and their takedowns? And I think that's a very intriguing matchup. But
Yeah.
it's more so what it just, to me, it's taking away Khamzat from the title picture to open up perhaps someone less deserving in that weight class to get a title shot. I know you probably don't agree with me, but I guess, like, now that I've explained it, like, do you think is that something that is even remotely possible in your head, or are you just kind of like not even really taking the Conor at welterweight thing seriously.
No, I mean it's the window. There's a small little crack, in the window. It's open a little bit. I think Connor, when he comes back, will be at 170. I think he's actually done at 155. I don't know if we ever see him back at lightweight again.
No.
So I would hate it so much with I hope that does not happen. And I know Connor's huge, and I get that. And I'm a sucker for a Conor McGregor fight week when he brings all these eyes to the sport. And the fights are always huge. But him getting a title fight at either weight class makes zero sense. It doesn't matter what type of arguments there are for it. So I do see your fear of like, okay, this is just going to open the door for him more. But I'd like to think Dana and the fellas wouldn't do that. I also think that with Hamzat's new best friend, Darren Till, and I know that Dana had a meeting with both of them, I almost wonder if there's some sort of like feeling from Dana, because I think that there's a bit of a regret with the UFC and how quickly they pushed Darren Till and how it failed so bad. I do think that there's something there. So I almost wonder if something happened at that meeting where they're like, listen, Hamzat's there. We realize this. And I also think that the UFC thought Hamzat was going to smash Burns. Because when do you see Dana come out and say, well, yeah, we're going to do Chimaev Covington before he even fought Gilbert? Like, that just shows the belief, first and foremost, in Chimaev. A little disrespect to Gilbert. But I'm just rambling now. But, like, I think there's a little bit of let's push him, but let's, give him as many top guys as we can. So if we go Gilbert, Covington, boom, back to back, he beats both of them, then we have no other choice but to do a title. So I kind of have that little mindset there for me.
I will say that since I've been lessened in my opinion on that since the interview came out. So like since the fight took place, I was like, okay, now I see a little more of the argument to do Colby Covington next.
Mm-hmm.
And then following the post-fight press conference, which we're going to transition to now, I think.